What's up, everybody? It's Big Roth TV, and I'm back with another music review video. Um, this is one that I have been planning out all year since the summer. Uh, I guess since the summer, not all year, but I've been planning this one out. I listened to this album over the summer going on a road trip, and it's just like all of a sudden, uh, it made sense to me. Like something about listening to this particular album, it just hit me out of nowhere, and like it all made sense more than it had any of the previous times that I had listened to this particular album. So the album I'm talking about, of course, if you've seen the title of this video, is Jay Z's Kingdom Come album. This album was released 10 years ago this week. It was released November 21st, 2006. I remember it just like it was yesterday. I was in tech school at the time, and I was sitting in class. I knew it was coming, and I was sitting in class, and I'm just anxious. And I probably didn't even listen to anything that happened in class today. I probably had no idea what the teacher was instructing me in class that day, but I was so excited. I got out of class. I rushed back to my dorm room. I changed, and then I rushed over to the store. I couldn't find it on the initial aisle that it was supposed to be on. I rushed around the store to a different aisle and finally found it. And I rushed back to my dorm room again, put the headphones on, and I started to jam it. And I liked it. I remember that in 2006, I was 21. So 10 years ago, I was 21, and I'm listening to this album, and I'm just, I like it because I'm a Jay Z fan. So I was listening to it, and I'm just like, yeah, this is cool. He's back. Thank goodness. You know what I mean? But in 2006, I kind of was like, I like the album, but this ain't no black album. Like this ain't, he was great up here, but he's just kind of good, right? And maybe it was because I was only 21, and I was, was barely out of the house, barely starting to pay my own little bit of bills. I was single at the time, had no kids, no responsibility. I didn't understand it, at 21. I didn't understand this album at 21. But listening to it, 10 years later, married, three kids. At the time I was listening to it, I was a homeowner. I sold my home now, but I was a homeowner. Money's a little bit different than it was 10 years ago. It makes sense now. Like Kingdom Come as an album makes so much more sense now to me than it did 10 years ago when I was 21 and in school. It something about it clicks more than it did back then. So getting into it, what it was about that album is that Jay went from more of a, he was a street hustler in previous albums, and it was money, cash, holes, and all these things like it was before. So he was he was a little older, so it was a much more mature sound, and you could hear that things that he talked about. A lot of us, especially somebody that's 21, I don't know what the hell he's talking about at 21, but it just sounded good. So, but at 31, I understand. I understand some of the things. An example that I will say is that, and it's funny that my dad said something like this a month after this album came out. He found, I had moved. I had moved out. I went home, got my stuff, and I forgot a book. And my dad found an old yearbook of mine. And there was a questionable picture in there with me and a young lady that I went to school with. And my dad found this picture and he sent it to me, and he wrote a sticky and he said, if you're gonna do something crazy if you're gonna do something like this, cover your tracks. Make sure you cover your tracks, right? And on the song Trouble, Jay-Z says, if my hand's in the cookie jar, know one thing, I'ma snatch the cookie, not leave my ring. Which ultimately it was the same thing, I'm gonna do what I gotta do, but I'm gonna cover my tracks. You know what I mean? And it's funny, like I noticed that now. I noticed that 10 years later, that's that's kind of what he was talking about, because I was not thinking that back then. I just thought, okay, he's not gonna leave his ring in the cookie jar, like he's not even married. In 2006, he's not even married. What is he talking about? I didn't understand things like that. And then the uh, Minority Report song, where he's talking about he gave money to the Hurricane Katrina efforts and the relief funds. He donated, I want to say he donated $1 million to the Hurricane Katrina relief funds, but he didn't personally go down to Louisiana and give his time. And he speaks on that and how he regrets giving the money and not going down and actually giving out water or doing things that he could have done personally, in person, feet on the ground. And he talks about regretting that. And in 2006, I would have said, well, giving you money, you did something. You should be happy. Like, be proud of yourself that you did something. But now I'm a little bit older. I'm a little bit more mature. I understand the difference. That, like, he could have given that money, but that money might not have went to the efforts. That money might have went to somebody else, and they might not have done what he intended to do with that money, to go to the funds. And I think that's what Jay was getting at now. And I understand that it would have been better for him, and at least in his mind, to go down there and actually be hands on with what he was talking about. It just, man, lyrically he was on point. He hadn't really lost a step. The first 6 songs of the album are great, and it doesn't get until the point like 30 something is a good song, but that's about when the album he starts to, all right, it starts to go down a little bit in the steam. But 1 through 6, the intro prelude, that is arguably one of the best intros of Jay-Z's career. That's easily one of the it's got to be top 3 or 4 of his career, maybe top 3. With the Dynasty one is a good one, but that's one of his best intros. And then the title track, The Kingdom Come, the I don't know what life would be, and HIP, HOP without the boy HOV. Amazing song. It's a great song. And of course, there's Lost Ones on there. We hadn't seen Jay get as vulnerable on a record as he did on Lost Ones, and the things that he's discussing on that album, the loss of his nephew, and relationship issues, and his issues with Dame Dash at the time. People saying that they can make another Hove, but nobody made another Hove though. You know what I mean? Like, we hadn't heard Jay get on those kind of issues before. It was good to see. But at the same time, while I am saying that this album is great, 10 years later, Hollywood still sucks. Like, that song was iffy back then, and today, while I understand the message of the song and that Hollywood, the fame that people are reaching for, that's a drug. That the fame is a drug, and I get that. But the song still, that's the worst Jay and Beyonce collaboration that there ever was, and definitely I get that. And that's probably the worst song on the album. But with that being said, what is there, 12 songs on the album? If there's that one bad song on this album, that says that the album's good to me. And I just like, Dig a Hole has been the song to me that I've jammed it so much since I've been listening to it this year. It's like I get it more. At first I was like, that is a very weak diss track. That's not how you should go at Cameron or anybody else that was talking about you back then. You should go at them strong. And I felt like he went kind of weak. But listening to it now, he went hard. It was just a lot deeper than what I was ready to hear at that time. Me being 21, I didn't understand the how deep he was going with those lyrics, and how personal it really was when you dig deeper into what he was saying. So Dig a Hole is such a great diss song now that I listen to it, man. And it's just a great thing, man. At the end of the day, I feel like this is one of Jay's better albums, man. On his 44th birthday 3 years ago, Jay ranked his albums, and I'll try to put a picture of that in the video. He ranked his albums up to that point, and he has Kingdom Come as the worst. It's his worst album, and I don't agree. Like I feel like that album just is better than Volume One, which personally holds a spot to me on Jay's rankings because that's about the time I came in to listening to Jay Z. I was 12, I believe it was, when Volume One came out, and The City Is Mine. The City Is Mine is the song that put me on to Jay. I missed the Reasonable Doubt days because I was still kind of young, and wasn't quite listening to hip hop as strong. So but when The City Is Mine came out, that's when I started knowing who Jay is. But even so, Kingdom Come is better than Volume One, In My Lifetime Volume One. It's better than In My Lifetime Volume Three overall to me, and it might even be better than the Blueprint Two album because that second disc of the Blueprint Two is kind of filler. So that one's kind of questionable, but I don't think it's his worst effort. Definitely not now, 10 years later, that I'm listening to it and I understand it a lot more. Um, I just think that people slept on it. We weren't ready for that mature sounding Jay. But what's funny is that now, 10 years later, everybody's trying to have that sound. Everybody's trying to sound a little bit more mature, especially some of your middle to older rappers, not the rappers from now, but a lot of rappers are trying to have that more mature, smooth out kind of sound. And Jay was doing it 10 years ago. Um, but anyway, man, that's it. This is just something I wanted to throw out because I've been listening to this album all year. It's a great album. 10-year anniversary of the Kingdom Come album by Jay Z. Hopefully, he's working on something right now and we get a new album from Jay Z soon. It's been about 3 years since the Magna Carta album came out, so hopefully he's working on something and we get a new sound this year to close out, or maybe even early next year. Anyway, if you like this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up. That helps my channel. Subscribe if you haven't already, and I will holler at you all in the next video. Peace.